Hi, everyone. This is Norman Kochannek here for Extra Time. And it's an extra special time tonight. This is a live broadcast, one of many. We're going to have a number of shows, both pre and post the actual, what is only called the Indian Premier League. I can't call it the UAE Premier League anymore because it's not being played in the UAE. It's back in India. So we can officially call it the Indian Premier League once again, into its 14th season. Amazing. It is a juggernaut waiting to happen. Incredible anticipation. The media is full of delight about what's going to happen. Players are arriving. Players are not arriving. People are buying properties in Australia, which I'm sneaking around having a look at. All sorts of things are taking place. We have two guests who are making me look good. No, that's not true. But we've got obviously Debasis Sen to my right from Extra Time. Hello, Debasis. How are you?
Hi, Norman. Good to see you.
And you've got an All Blacks cap. Are you trying to tell us something that the World Test Championship is going to go New Zealand's way? Oh my gosh! You're not already saying that.
No way.
Well,
Are you kidding?
Wearing a New
Are you
Zealand
kidding?
hat. I mean, come on.
Obviously, they happen to be one of the best teams in the world. I mean, when you talk
That's
about
in
global
rugby.
sport, yet obviously rugby. When you talk about global sport, rugby is way ahead of cricket.
But that message you're sending about New Zealand's worrying me. Anyway, and Sandipan Banerjee is also here, correct?
Yeah,
and
that's Sandipan Banerjee. Yeah,
you know what?
Absolutely correct.
Are you wearing is that the Sri Lankan? Is that the cricket club in Colombo?
Absolutely, Cricket Club Cafe Columbus.
Many times.
Wow.
Do you know that? It was actually owned by an Australian couple.
Yes, I know.
Moved from the original bungalow to a new location. I spent many Decembers watching Australian cricket from that particular place. They knew me.
Wow.
They had the sausage roll. They had the Allen Border burger there waiting for me. They had everything. They knew me extremely well. See how quickly I knew your shirt? I knew it immediately. So I was a regular.
You are a pro then. You are a pro.
I was married to a Sri Lankan for 14 years.
Wow.
Is what they say. They're Sri Lankans. All right, guys. This is going to be a tremendous. I'm going to call you Sandy from now on. Debasis is not so sandy. He's more soily, but that's another thing. We'll get to that. Okay. The reality is that this is going to be a lot of fun, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of banter, some very serious, strategic, and calculated discussion. I know, we all know that the social media platforms from all 8 sides are like juggernauts. They're showing everything from the color of underwear the players are wearing, whether they're eating chocolate cake, whether they've got lounge seats, new computer games. That's very impressive, and I do applaud that. But we're going to be that somewhat different. The reality is you need to get an unbiased view of the whole IPL, and things aren't always glossy. You can't always judge the mood of a team by way of how well they're situated in a lovely lounge and how much cake they're having and how much they're laughing and joking. That's not the truth. We're not seeing everything in those clips. The mood of a team, the hunger of a team to win the IPL is what to me is important. I've already predicted quite heavily about Delhi Capitals. They're not my favourite team. I don't favour them. I'm actually more a Kolkata Knight Riders fan or a Chennai Super Kings fan because of the likes of Dhoni and even when Simon Kadich was involved with KKR. But I tell you what, Delhi Capitals now, in particular with the influences of Rishabh Pant being captain, which we'll talk more about, and ultimately the presence of a person such as Ricky Ponting, not unlike Mahela Jayawardene for Mumbai Indians, they're significant people in the background of these teams. And already, I think you put on Extra Time, in fact, today, the Delhi Capitals discussion about Rishabh Pant, and more importantly, what Ricky Ponting was saying. That is extremely significant discussion. We should listen to Ricky Ponting and dissect his discussion over and over again. It was on point. It's about being on performance on the day. And that's, don't you agree? Sandy, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, to somewhat. Not exactly, but to somewhat, yeah.
Okay. I'm not expecting you to be exactly the same as me at all. That's good. But I think it's about momentum. It's about the players being ready out of protocols, the quarantines. A number of the South African players are arriving rather late. Some of the Australians have been rather late as well. It's going to affect their early performances. the main Indian players that are there and the English players that have been there for a while have an advantage. They've gotten used to the conditions. I mean, Norjay and Rabada are running very late. That has to be a disadvantage for them. Ben Stokes has just come out. He seems to be getting used to things again, but I think that's going to affect them. Debasis, what's your thoughts on that?
Obviously, Indians and the English cricketers do have an advantage. The sheer fact is that they have been playing in a series out here in India, and they have been in a bubble. So I think that they are accustomed to the conditions, especially the English cricketers. They have been here for almost 2 months now. So they're very used to. And talking about the Australian cricketers or the South African cricketers, they have been playing the IPL. I'm talking about most of these players. They have been used to playing in the IPL. So it's not that they are coming in and getting to play in a tournament like IPL. Obviously, there are few cricketers who would be having first-hand experience of playing in the IPL, say particularly guys like Kyle Jamieson, players like them. But overall, if you see that most of these Australian cricketers and New Zealand cricketers and the South African cricketers, they have the experience of playing in the IPL.
No, it's probably not what I was getting at, though, Debasis. I wasn't talking about experience in the IPL. I'm talking about the conditions now, post a COVID situation coming out of quarantine. It's more that. It's more the physicality and the mental state of coming off a plane into quarantine and going out there. It's more that aspect, not the playing of the IPL. So I think I meant more that way. But let's just take a step back, guys. I've got you engaged now. We need to get close to the cameras and have a good chat about what we're going to be talking about. We're talking about 4 of the 8 teams. We'll do the other 4 tomorrow. We're going to look at a true SWOT analysis, their so-called strengths, their weaknesses, and that is one of the key aspects around weaknesses that a coach or a mentor like the likes of a Ponting or a Mahajala will actually look at, and the Flemings of the world, and even Hestons of the world will actually concentrate on, is the weaknesses. The opportunities, that's going to play out as the tournament progresses. The threats, not just external threats, that is opposition players, but the internal threats, the disharmony in a team that occurs through a competition when things are not going right, how they handle that, how in fact they may implode when a game gets close, where the pressure might take them on. And we're not talking about Mumbai Indians today. They've been fantastic for 2 years running, but mentally and physically to be up for a 3rd year and the challenges that will come through, they've got that hunger that Mumbai Indians perhaps don't really truly have into a 3rd year. That's going to be the interesting factor. I think that'll play a part as well. We're talking about 4 teams now. Okay, the 4 teams are, of course, the Kolkata Knight Riders, the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Okay, they're 2 significant sides. Obviously, Delhi Capitals is a 3rd, and then the Royal Challengers Bangalore is a 4th. They're the 4 we're talking about today. Surprise, surprise, they're in my top 5 anyway. That's my early prediction, including Mumbai Indians. The 3 we're talking about tomorrow, the Rajasthan Royals, the Punjab Kings and the Chennai Super Kings. 2 sets of Kings, I'm not sure. There are some concerns about those teams, in my opinion, despite the fact that I have a KKR supporter. Now, before we get into the 4 teams, I just want a quick understanding from the guys. We've got a few players that are not here. Hazelwood's dropped out. Obviously, we've got Philippe not here. Mitch Marsh is not here. Is out. Stark, what's the story with Stark exactly? Can you update me on Stark?
He's not
there. No. He's not here.
So we effectively have, I would argue, 2 of the best Australian bowlers not here. Okay. The Hazelwoods and Starks.
Yeah, but not in T20 format.
No, that's true. But price tag wise, there's some. Pat Cummins is certainly one that's there, which is your second highest.
Yep.
So that's true.
All right. Watch out for.
Go ahead, son.
Yeah.
Watch out for who?
I'm just saying watch out for Jay Richardson, the highest wicket taker in BBL, I guess, and he has been coming back and wonderful pick. I guess it's a brilliant pick for Punjab Kings, but of course we'll discuss Punjab tomorrow.
And who's the other bowler for Punjab Kings as well? Who's the other bowler that's significant in that team?
Obviously, Mohammad
There-
Shami. You have Mohammad Shami.
Yeah.
Side.
Injury.
Yeah, Mohammad
phase.
Sami.
Injury.
Really
phase.
Meredith. I think really Meredith is also in Punjab Kings.
Yeah, the American is Punjab Kings.
But
Yeah,
see,
really,
Riley Meredith. See, I've got Riley Meredith and Richardson, for example, have performed relatively well in the BBL, but there's a level of experience you've got to have with the IPL. You can't come in and be perfect. IPL is its own beast. You know that. You have to have IPL experience. You don't come in first ball. Jofra Archer is the other one that I'm talking about with injury, concerning major blow. Sharmi at this point is a major blow. I don't think Jamison could do it all on his own, to be honest. But that's my thoughts. Okay, right. Now you guys can tell me to shut up. You can interrupt me whenever you like. I can't do any backhanders. I can try going bang bang, but it doesn't work. You are at liberty to have a go at me, to be banterish. I know you guys. You have to understand something, both of you, right up front. You're not as good looking as me, so there'll be clearly a
typical Aussie. Typical Aussie.
Is it? What?
Come on.
All right,
Anyway, are we starting with KKR? Let's start with KKR, because I guess KKR is our favorite team. Three of us. KKR supporters here.
Well, yeah, but all three of us are KKR, so we're all. I mean, I'm a Kolkataite. That's the term. All right, Sandy, you start with Kolkata. Let's hear your take on Kolkata Knight Riders.
Yeah, I mean, interesting team, interesting combinations. Look at the new KKR side. They have picked, Shakib. They have kept Shakib back in their squad. Now Nareen is probably not his vintage days are gone. Nareen is struggling with his form, struggling with his action. So I guess KKR have gone for an investment policy that by purchasing Shakib back in the side, and of course securing the services of the veteran Harbhajan Singh, because in that case they can combine both Varun Chakravarti and Harbhajan can play, and then they in place of Nareen they can opt for Shakib as a foreign spin all-rounder. My question is, who will open for KKR? What is your take, Devashish Da?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apart from Gill.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah,
I would say obviously that has been one area which has been the most inconsistent area. KKR has struggled to find an opening pair last season. They also struggled to find an finisher. So that has been lacking throughout the season. They have been plagued with struggling to find an opening pair who's going to open with Shubman Gill. Obviously, we assume that Shubman Gill is going to open for KKR this season, but who will go in with Shubman Gill? Obviously, there are talks that Rahul Tripathi might be sent in with Shubman Gill to open the batting, but then obviously he did lack the consistency which is required in a big tournament like IPL, because you need consistent openers. If you take the likes of Virat Kohli, the RCB, they have a settled opening pair. Take the likes of Mumbai Indians, they have a settled opening pair. I'm talking of the big teams. Sunrisers Hyderabad, they have a settled opening pair. So, but that is what was not the case with KKR. They had been lacking seriously when it comes to their opening order. They struggled throughout the season to find the opening pair who can deliver for them. So I think that they need to find out the opening pair as soon as possible.
And also, I was very disappointed when by the recent comment of Shubman Gill when he said the strike rate is overrated. I don't think strike rate is overrated, at least in the T20 format. Look at the England team. Look at their batting lineup. Even in 50-over format, they just kept hitting, and that's why they are the number one team in the world. Look at their T20 side. Look at the likes of Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow. Everyone can come in and right from the start they can strike at probably 120, 130. Whereas someone like Shubman Gill, what we saw last year, he started well. He played those, maybe 30 ball 40s and all, but he failed to score a big one. Whereas we see in the other teams, for example, in what happened with RCB, Devdutt Parakal, he did well. He was striking the ball right from the he was taking advantage of the power play. But in Subman Gill case, what happens? He at the second half of the innings, he tends to get a little bit of bogged down, and that's why we needed someone like Nareen if he was in top form to open the innings. Because then Gill can play his natural game, whereas Nareen can just take advantage of the field restrictions and all. But in that case, now I don't think in the current situation, under the current circumstances, Nareen will be KKR's first choice opener. Just because they cannot waste a foreign quota, just because he can open, and his batting to some extent has been walked out by the opposition team. The team will come in and bowl at his body, and So I guess, and if we open with Rahul Tripathi, he is more of he is bit of an aggressor, but then he is more of a someone like Subman Gill. So we probably need a good. We probably needed a good foreign opener. Someone like I was actually very disappointed when KKR did not go or bid for someone like David Malan in the auction, or they had the option of bidding for Jason Roy. I was surprised, but I guess KKR will go ahead.
Why didn't they do that? Tell us why you think they didn't do that.
I have no idea. Why didn't they do that? They needed an opener. And otherwise, maybe they can pull some trick out of a hat. For example, like they can ask someone like I'm just thinking. They can ask someone like Shakib to open. He batted at number 3 for Bangladesh. He did really well over there in the World Cup. Why not? Let's try and experiment. They can experiment with Shakib to open, or maybe someone. I cannot see actually any other option.
Owen Morgan can actually open as well.
Morgan, I think he's more of a middle order batsman than an opener. But yeah, he can. Of course, he can.
As a captain, he can come in and take charge if he needs to.
Yeah.
Let's go off the batting front. You've made it very clear about the opening, and I get your point there. But what about their bowling lineup now? With a Pat Cummins in the side, and they've got the strength of their bowling lineup seems to be quite superior. That's one of their key strengths. Would you agree? Opening batter position is a weakness. Their strength is certainly their bowling, and the way they execute, the way they use their bowlers is another aspect. And I think Pat Cummins is certainly one that will be worth watching. What other bowlers would you say are worth watching for KKR?
Obviously, Prasidh Krishna, he's the rising star in the Indian team, obviously, and he will have that experience now that he has played for India. So he will have that experience of playing for the country, representing India in ODI form, and he did well in his first match after going for a few runs in his first couple of overs. He did come back strongly to pick up 4 wickets in his debut match for India, and obviously KKR has a very very good strength of fast bowlers in their ranks. Obviously, like of Lockie Ferguson, we know he did he did reasonably well last season. And as you have said, Pat Cummins will be spearheading the attack. And that the likes of Kamlesh Nagarkoti and Shivam Mavi, the young generation of fast bowlers. And obviously, they do have the bowling. And obviously, today, Venkatesh Iyer, if I'm not wrong, he has very decent bowling. They had an intra-squad match last evening, and he picked up 3 wickets. So he showed enough promise. So KKR has a good array of fast bowlers to choose to pick up from. Obviously, Pat Cummins, you name it, Pat Cummins, Prasidh Krishna, Kamlesh Nagarkati, Shivam Mavi, Lockie Ferguson. So they have some real depth as far as fast bowling is concerned. But their biggest worry, I would say, is their spin bowling department. Yeah. Obviously, Sunil Narine has been called for. Has been called for his action last season. He did not look the Sunil Narine that he used to be, as Sandeepan clearly mentioned at the start of the show that Sunil Narine has passed his prime. He doesn't look the same bowler what he used to be when KKR won the championship in 2012 and 2014, and also the fact that Kuldeep Yadav is another bowler who has just missed the trick. Obviously, he is down in confidence. He doesn't get an opportunity to represent the country. He is no more the go-to bowler for India. So Kuldeep Yadav is another bowler who is short in confidence. He needs to fire. Obviously, when you have 2 bowlers who are down with their confidence, Sunil Narine and Kuldeep Yadav, and Varun Chakravarti. KKR has found a good bowler in Varun Chakravarti. He did well last season, but then again he is very injury prone. Means we know that he missed both the Australia tour and also the series against England because he was not fit enough. He failed the fitness test and he was not picked for the Indian team. So that speaks volume about his fitness. So in a big tournament like the IPL, you need to get fit and strong cricketers who can play you the throughout the season. So these are the major concerns for the KKR side when you talk about the spinners.
Okay, we've talked about KKR
that's why
heavily there.
Yeah, that's why they have picked.
Wary of how much time we spend on each team. We need to be wary of the time. I think KKR, by what you're describing, I actually think they've got more problems than they have positive, to be honest with you.
Absolutely,
I think they've got issues around a number of aspects. They've got some winners in the side as well. Owen Morgan's a great captain. Cummins and the like, they've got good bowling. There's something lacking there. And I think I'd like to do a bit of a rating out of the top 8. Well, when we talk about the team in the SWOT analysis, which we're doing here, the threat is that sides be more stable and more hungrier and perhaps better balanced. As I said, where would you rate in the top 8? Where would you see KKR finishing?
At this point, I cannot see him making it to the playoff.
Okay, I agree. So let's say a 5th position. What's the playoffs?
Number 5.
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay.
Obviously, they missed the playoffs by a whisker. Obviously, I think it was just 8 runs. Means they failed to make it to the playoffs. Obviously, again KKR means I don't think means they are as strong on paper when you compare it with other sides like SRH or RCB or Mumbai Indians or Chennai Super Kings. And I think they have the balance, but then as I mentioned that they need to strike a right balance. Means the quick they strike the right balance, the better for them. But I also don't see them in the playoffs.
All right, we'll leave KKR there for the moment. We'll see whether they play out of their skin, whether they get combinations, whether they get the right opening partnership. It's going to be hard for them. All right, we'll move on from KKR now. Let's do. I'm going to do it. Royal Challengers Bangalore. I want to do them. To me, they're the most intriguing of all the teams. And I would argue the significant plus is a Glenn Maxwell coming in with hunger under the right combination of a Kohli and de Villiers, and Maxwell having a certain job to do. That could be very significant to the RCB. What's your thoughts, guys?
Glenn Maxwell, as you all know. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the Glenn Maxwell, it can be a double-edged sword. You can play him, he can click, he can not click. Actually, RCB this year will definitely miss playing at the Chinnaswamy Stadium because it's a small ground and actually the wicket and the conditions is ideal for someone like Glenn Maxwell. He can change the course of a game in an over. Like he can hit 4 sixes, 5 sixes in an over. But on those other big grounds, Glenn Maxwell at this point, under current circumstances, I think they have spent far too much money for Glenn Maxwell. But again, they're taking a gamble, and someone like of a quality of Glenn Maxwell, it's like maybe gamble worth taking. But if I was in the management of RCB, I wouldn't have spent so much of money for Glenn Maxwell.
But I have a different view. Means obviously I think it will be a blessing in disguise for Maxwell to have someone like Maxwell, because when you have power hitters at the start without the likes of Virat Kohli, Devdutt Padikkal, then AB de Villiers and Mohammad Azharuddin, the new bloke they have brought in their side, then Maxwell will have that cushion. And because when you have the power hitters at the start of your innings, like as I mentioned, that he will have that freedom to play at his will. Obviously, we won't have the pressure of rebuilding an innings. That was the case last season when Punjab Kings didn't have the greatest of starts. So it was putting too much of pressure on Maxwell. But this season, I think he can have that freedom, and obviously, and the fact that he will have someone like Virat Kohli at the dressing room. So and they share a very good camaraderie. So I think this might be a very, very big opportunity for Glenn Maxwell, especially with the T20 World Cup coming in a few months' time. So I think he will be willing to be be back to form, as we all know how destructive he can be in this format. So let's hope for RCB fans that Glenn Maxwell fires for them this season.
I actually think AB de Villiers is more of an influence over Maxwell than Kohli, because AB de Villiers has a certain finesse about the timing of his beginnings, and that's what Maxwell could learn from by being in the same team. I tend to think Maxwell will be a benefit. Forgetting that he's Australian is irrelevant. And I'm very much a gut feeling type person. I have this feeling that it's going to go well. Whenever I play cricket, you'll hear me at mid-off or mid-on say, guys, I've got a feeling. Then the very next ball is a wicket taking. I mean, I am a bit of a crystal ball watcher, and I do have a crystal ball here, by the way, guys. And it happens to be a food shaker, but we'll go. My crystal ball is telling me Glenn Maxwell will have a good year. Okay? And when I bring this out, guys, be careful. Something magical will happen.
Watch out for your social media handles. You will gain a lot of RCB followers tonight.
There you go. RCB, guys, it's Norman here. Okay. No, okay. The reality is, I think on the basis of what we've discussed, they could be in the top 4. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Look, yeah, depends how well they perform. Last year, what happens? They won 7 out of their first 10 games, but in the second half they struggle. But yet they managed to make it to the playoffs. But I think the biggest plus point for RCB last season was the performance of their Indian bowling contingent.
Yes.
So if they perhaps it is because this was the first time, or on a rare occasion, that RCB was playing more of their games outside in a smaller ground like Chinnaswamy, because at Chinnaswamy any bowling attack can look like a very hittable bowling attack. But RCB was bowling beautifully in the first half of the IPL last year. We have seen them bowling out opposition, someone like Navdeep Saini. We can see what Mohammad Siraj was capable of. I can remember one spell he bowled against KKR. He just took, I think, 2 overs. He took 4 wickets or something like that. He was swinging the ball brilliantly. It was an RCB set a test match field in a T20 game. So RCB have the potential. Now it is up to them to to keep everything ready and just start gaining some momentum at the early stages of the tournament.
I think.
But again, we talk all these things every year about RCB.
But you didn't have the crystal ball here, and I'm seeing RCB here very carefully. So it's coming. Do you see it, guys? Can you see it? No? You need to look. You need to come close to the camera. Can you see it? I can.
Yeah, I can. I can see Glenn Maxwell scoring 400 runs on your crystal ball.
Very
in the season.
But on a serious note, I would say that RCB, the weak link of RCB this season will be their bowling, their fast bowling. Obviously, they have the likes of Navdeep Saini and Mohammad Siraj who have both represented India in the white ball format. But then the thing is that they are not consistent enough. They have not yet cemented their place in the Indian T20 side. And also, when you have someone like Kyle Jamieson who has been under a lot of beating. Means obviously in the recently concluded series against Bangladesh, we know he went for plenty, and he would be having a first-hand experience of playing on conditions in India. So I think that is their main weak link, is their fast bowling department. Obviously, the spin bowling department, as far as spin bowling is concerned, obviously they have the likes of Washington Sundar and Yajuvendra Chahal, who are both done reasonably well, and I think they will again hold the key for RCB to do well. But the biggest weak link is their fast bowling department, because Mohammad Siraj, Navdeep Saini, Kyle Jamieson have not, obviously they are not consistent. I won't say they are match winners. To be match winners, you need to be consistent enough.
All right. Let's be honest. We're always pretty hard on the teams to start the season. Let's get proven wrong by some of these teams. But I would argue we're looking at the 4th and 5th. 5th being KKR at this point, and 4th would be RCB. Okay, so we'll leave it at that.
I have a question, Sandeepan. Sandeepan, what do you make out of this 3 Australian trio of Dan Christian, Daniel Sams, and Kane Richardson? Do you think they are a good buy for them?
Yeah, considering the RCB lineup, they needed some backup options. So from that extent, it's a good buy. I mean, someone like Dan Christian is an IPL veteran. We can say he has been playing for years. And there are other Sam's. Yeah, he was not exact. He was in the Delhi squad. Played a few games last year, but not exactly was very impressive. It is because obviously the way that their other two fast bowlers were bowling in front of them, Sam's looked a little bit of weak link, and some of the teams went after him. Apart from that, I think it's a good buy. I think in the spin department we forget to mention one name, that is Zampa. I think they will play Zampa, both Zampa and Chahal. That can be a good
Who are going to
combination.
be the four foreigners? Who are going to be the four foreigners for you for
At
RCB
the
this
start, I
season?
will play obviously Maxwell. I will play Maxwell, Zampa, AVD is my three. And now we can play someone like Dan Christian or maybe Kyle Jamieson. They will
So,
start with Kyle Jamieson, of course, because they have spent so much of money on them, and he has been
that's
playing cricket off late. So let's see. These are the four foreigners.
I have to just warn you about two players you mentioned. Dan Christian has the Midas touch. Whatever team he plays for, they ultimately go close. In most cases, they actually win. So don't discount that factor. With Daniel Sams, his recent form in the BBL was stupendous. The guy may not have had a great IPL season before, but his form has risen. He's a local boy. He lives not very far from me as well. I'm on his side, but Daniel Sams has got his head switched on. I think you might find him doing a lot better. But Dan Christian, my God, if there's a Midas touch to a team, he's one of them. And
Norman,
his relationship with Glenn Maxwell too is another thing. Dan Christian's relation with Glenn Maxwell, another leveler. Dan Christian knows how to win. All right. Now we've gone through those
Norman,
two.
I just before switching off to another team, I would like to remind you of one name. Mark out Mohammad Azharuddin. Means there has been a hell lot of expectation back here in India ever since he was picked by RCB. He will be one batsman to watch out for. Mark these two batsmen. I tell Sandipan will be agree with me to some extent. Devdutt Padikkal, we did have a glimpse of him last season. Devdutt Padikkal and Mohammad Azharuddin. These will be the two batsmen to watch out for RCB, and they will have a huge opportunity because talking about Padikkal, obviously a one good IPL. You never know because with the T20 World Cup, which are bigger strength squad, you never know. He might just sneak into the Indian team.
Oh, Mohammad Azharuddin, he's close to 60, isn't he? Didn't he play back in the 90s? Oh, sorry, wrong guy.
This is a guy from Kerala.
Come on. You're getting a bit desperate to bring a 60-year-old back. My God.
I'd like to add one more name, that is Finn Allen from New Zealand. I think he did recently exceptionally well in the recent series against Bangladesh. He scored 130 ball 75 recently, and he is a damn good hitter of a cricket ball. So watch out for him.
Okay. You heard it from Sandy. Watch out for him. That's going to be. There's going to be a few catchphrases. Watch out. All right. Now we've got two more sides we're about to hit on. Okay. You're not going to bring Arjuna Ranatunga back, are you? As well, no. So you're bringing back all these old players. What's next? Okay. We've got two more teams. So as I said, this is kind of like the top 4 or 5 teams anyway. So we've got some pretty big hitters to talk about. Sunrisers Hyderabad and Delhi Capitals are the two we're about to talk about, correct?
Yep.
Now, I keep using the word hunger, especially in their captaincy. Dave Warner, with the hunger he had when Sunrisers Hyderabad won the tournament in that year, was evidence of the Warner factor, the hunger, the desire, the determination. He swept the rest of the side with him. I believe that's what I'm seeing in Rishabh Pant at the moment. I always say, this is a saying they talk about Rishabh Pant. They say he's the next MS Dhoni. No, he's the first Rishabh Pant. And that's a good way of explaining it. I have an equation. I think I say Chris Gale plus MS Dhoni equals Rishabh Pant. It's kind of like that. There's an element of that going on there. But we'll leave Delhi Capitals to last. Let's go now to the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Firstly, I'm not a fan of their colour of the jersey, but that's another thing. I wasn't a fan. But let's dissect Sunrise Hyderabad. Clearly, the Warner factor's there, a huge strength. Would you agree? His ability to play is significant. We won't talk about Sandpaper Gate. We'll leave that alone. But we'll talk about the IPL. The Warner factor is significant. But let's talk about the rest of the side. Sandy, your thoughts? Hello, there's a bit of a synergy there. Sandpaper and Sandy. I hope there's no.
Oh no! Oh no!
Is there anything going on that you're not telling me?
Oh,
come on!
You're wearing a Sri Lankan.
Come on, Norman.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Sri Lankan
color.
color.
We'll move on. We'll leave that conjecture another day. All right, back to Sandy. So, can you talk about what's your thoughts on the team?
I think Sunrisers Hyderabad is probably the most underrated IPL team. You know, since 2016, this team has made it to the playoff each edition. They won the tournament once. They were runners-up once. They finished third last year. So I guess we don't even when during the pre-season chatter we talk about CSK, we talk about RCB each year. Like obviously they have won the tournament. Like we talk about RCB like they won the tournament like 3-4 times. We talk about any other team. We talk about KKR, but we don't talk much about Sunrisers Hyderabad team. But look at the consistency of this team. Since 2016, this team has made it to the playoff each occasion. They have been playing some fantastic cricket. They don't have those, Indian superstar, big Indian superstars. But look at their domestic Indian players. How well they are performing. Last year they missed Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, yet they made it to the playoffs, and their bowling was one of the main reasons why they made it to the playoffs. And someone like Sandeep Sharma, Abhishek Sharma, the way Khalil Ahmed, look at their bowling attack. So I guess we need to talk. We need to give Sunrisers much more respect than this currently is getting. It deserves more, I guess.
Priyam Garg,
Priyam Garg, of course, Priyam Garg. Even Abdul Samad. Who would have thought Abdul Samad will?
Yeah. I mean, look, what you're telling now.
We are missing one name, T. Natarajan. T. Natarajan, come on.
Of course, come on, T. Natarajan.
But let's be honest here. This is something that's really significant. Let's compare RCB with Sunrisers for one moment here. RCB, a team of champions, okay? A team of champion players. But a champion team is what you need to have in an IPL series. A team of champions won't win you the game. A champion team will. And that's what you've described. A champion team is one that rallies together, plays out of their skin, not unlike the way India played in Australia in the last test. Let me remind you, I was there. You guys were watching on some television set in a smoking bar, but I was actually there. The reality was that was such a significant factor. Hence why Sunrisers, to me, are not just top 5, they're probably top 3 yet again, and will challenge. Very, very correct. Very, very good description of their lot. And we mustn't discount Dave Warner. His presence is extremely significant. He's a very motivating tool, and he sees this as a pinnacle of his career, what he's doing in the IPL, hence the 16 result. He wants more. He wants many more results. The hunger is still with Sunrisers. Hunger. I'm talking about I mean, I'm chubby. My hunger is a bit different, but my hunger is always there. But it's about food. But about winning the actual IPL is another story altogether. So that's a very good point. What any other? Okay, strength we've talked about. Weaknesses.
I think the real strength for Sunrisers Hyderabad is their foreign overseas cricketers. I am talking to name it: David Warner, Johnny Bairstow, Jason Roy, Rashid Khan, Kane Williamson, Mohammad Nabi, Mujibur Rahman, you name it. I think all the 8 cricketers that have been picked, I think on their day they can walk into the side. So I think the Sunrisers Hyderabad will be a real challenge for the Sunrisers management to pick the top 4 foreigners in the side. Obviously, we are assuming that David Warner is being the captain. He will definitely, he's going to make it to the playing 11 definitely, and obviously that the likes of Rashid Khan, he's a certainty in the playing 11. So David Warner, Rashid Khan. Who you pick between Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow? That will be a real interesting thing. Who you pick between Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow? And you need an all-rounder. And obviously, so it will be a real tricky thing to either to leave out Jason Holder or to play an attacking batsman of the likes of play both Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow. So I think they will have a very tricky situation to pick their 4 foreigners in the side.
But don't
Yeah,
forget,
and
they've got 2 months of cricket. They've got
yeah,
2
let's
months of
not count
cricket.
let's not count Mohammad Nabi out of the equation, because if he would have been in any other team, he would have played probably all 14 matches. Gautam Gambhir, I think in the last year said that Mohammad Nabi is very unlucky that he's in this team where he cannot play. He just plays 3-4 matches in season. But someone like Mohammad Nabi's quality, he would have any other team, he would have played all 14 games. So basically, in this team, the foreign quota, Warner and Rashid Khan are the 2 certain players. Now it will be things will change according to the circumstances between Johnny Bairstow, Jason Roy, Kane Williamson, and Nabi and Holder. So between Nabi and Holder, they need to play one. But now we have Bhuvaneshwar Kumar fit and fine, and he was an excellent form against England. So probably they will trust their I think in their last auction they let go Billy Stanley and they did not opt for any foreign pacer. That means their management is trusting their Indian contingent of fast bowlers to do well. So basically Bhuvaneshwar Kumar will definitely lead the pace bowling attack, and they have the likes of Rashid Khan in the spin department. There are some young Indian spinners as well. So I think and Vijay Shankar will be also in the scheme of things. He will be a good middle order batsman in this team. So overall, I think Sunrisers Hyderabad is looking very good team. And for me, I will be very surprised if this team doesn't finish at the top 3.
Yeah.
And obviously, one more thing which I would like to point out is that the lack of experience in their middle order. Obviously, apart from Kane Williamson, they have picked Kedar Jadhav. Obviously,
Kedar Jadhav, yes.
We all know that Kedar Jadhav has passed his prime. He is no more a certainty in the Indian team. He has been dropped. He no more plays for India. So it will be very interesting. If you remember, if we go back to the mini auction, he was not picked in the first count. He didn't have a buyer at the first count, but he was only picked in his later. So it will be very interesting because they lack the experience in the middle order. You do have some youngsters in the likes of Priyam Garg and Vijay Shankar and Riddhiman Saha, Srivat Goswami. They have quite a lot, but then I think they need to play Kane Williamson in the middle order because they lack somewhere around the corner. I think that is their biggest weak link. And also, when it comes to the spin bowling department, most of the teams have really quality spinners in their side. I think their fast bowling, as Sandeepan rightly pointed out, is that they have all bases covered as far as fast bowling is concerned with Bhuvneshwar Kumar and T. Natarajan. They are definitely their go-to bowler for Indian team and also Sunrisers Hyderabad. I think their biggest weak link will be their inexperienced middle order as well as the spin department.
Yeah.
Okay, just quickly.
And I expect Manish Pandey. I expect Manish Pandey to play a big role this year. And also, let's watch out for this guy, Virat Singh. He's a exciting young prospect. Sunrisers picked him last year in the auction. They have, though he did not get a game last year, but watch out for this guy. He captained India under-19. He was in the same batch with Ishan Kishan, Rishabh Pant, same batch. Unfortunately, he had some medical issues that's why they missed the under-19 World Cup back in 2016. But watch out for this guy.
Okay, just a point on this team. Okay, so you've talked heavily about Sunrise Hyderabad, the underdog nature of their team, and their great teamship or team ethic. Let's not forget, we're talking about who's going to be the last 4 players. We're really only talking about a final. Leading up to it, they're going to share those roles. The Roy Bairstow factor, they'll both have an equal, they'll be like for like. You're saying that Williamson will be middle order. Is he also potentially upper order as well? He could also play up the order. I don't think his position in the team is the only factor. It is a 20-over game. So he could well go in early as well. I don't think a middle order to me almost implies not batting. A good T20 side may not even exercise their middle order as well. Okay, that's a great summary. And in fact, you would argue there's your third top three, let's say third place. As I discussed earlier on many platforms, Mumbai Indians, that I'm not talking about now, and Delhi Capitals are really the top two teams, you'd have to argue. But in particular, when it comes to that hunger, that desire to win, Mumbai Indians have got it, but Delhi Capitals, there's something in the air in Delhi. I'm not sure whether it's the chocolate they're serving on the tables or what, but there is a certain taste in that team. Everything I see about Delhi Capitals seems right. Even though they've lost Shreyas Iyer as their captain, which should be a body blow to a team. It should be. But their replacement, I would argue, was actually even better. And that's an open opportunity. Shreyas Iyer will still be around the squad. He may not be playing, but he will still be there and he'll have an influence. So don't discount his factor. But Delhi Capitals, with a Ricky Ponting on the sidelines, with a Rishabh Pant on their side, and their overall squad, which we're going to talk about now, their strengths are enormous. I think they're riding a bit of a crest of a wave. I know they haven't played a ball yet, but there's every sign that something good's going to happen. What's your thoughts? Debasis, you start.
I would say that the biggest strength of Delhi Capitals is their fast bowling. Without a doubt. Obviously, when you have the likes of Kagishore Rabada, who won the Purple Cap last season, and you have Arnrich, Nokia, and then you have they retained Chris Wokes, and that is a very, very wise move. You say he's one of your best bowler in T20 format. Means he is one of your best buy. Means obviously he decided not to play in the IPL last season, but yet still the franchises retained him, and that's a very, very good move on the part of Delhi Capitals to retain Chris Pope. So you see these three fast bowlers, Nokia, Rabada, and Chris Wokes, and then you have quite a very good Indian fast bowling depth as well, with the likes of Umesh Yadav. He has been brought in the side this season. Obviously, he was not consistent enough for RCB, but the interesting thing about IPL this season, the biggest motivation for each and every player, that may be very clear, is that the T20 World Cup. Means I'm talking about all the sides playing in the IPL, be it England, South Africa, Australia, every team that is all the players that are playing in this IPL. The biggest motivation will be to do well in order to make up, cement their place in the World Cup side, T20 World Cup side. And obviously, when we have the experience of Ishant Sharma, so and you have Marcus Stoinis, who did reasonably well last season. So I think the real strength for Delhi Capitals this season is their fast bowling, and also to some extent their batting as well.
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah, I mean, yes. I think at this point, during the auction, I was actually very surprised when they picked Steve Smith. But now with Iyer being he is being ruled out of the IPL. Now I think there is a place for Steve Smith. I think he should bat at number 3. But the question is, if you want to play Steve Smith, then you have to there will be no place for someone like Hetmeyer, because obviously you will play Stoinis and 2 fast bowlers. So I guess that is one concern. But they have enough, I think, middle order batters, and their Indian batting contingent is very good. The likes of Prithvi Shaw, who has been in terrific form in the recent Vijay Hazare Trophy, we have seen.
And he has a lot to prove, doesn't he? He has a lot to prove.
He will be hungry.
He will really put a stamp on this.
Absolutely.
I talk about hunger. There's hunger in his eyes. There's hunger even in Steve Smith's eyes. He wants the captaincy back for Australia, as he's made clear. And Punt, hunger all over the place.
And the Shikhar Dhawan, he's also trying to get into the grooves of Indian T20 setup.
Absolutely. I mean, not to
mention Ajinkya Rahane. I think there are so many players in the Delhi Capital side, the likes of, as Sandeep, my friend, has pointed out, Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan. Then who was the other guy? Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan, and
Rishabh Pant.
Hang on. Can I stop? I'm going to stop you there. You just said Sandeep, your friend. Why did you need to say your friend? Does that mean that Norman's not your friend? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Be careful. I'm listening.
This is the bong connection.
I tell you what, Sandy, you've got
you know.
but you've got a lot to worry about, Sandy. With the nickname Sandy, you're going to cop it this time.
Whenever
when I see Warner,
it's a very good nickname to have, Sandy. Yes, I liked it.
But can you guys explain to me? I've been annoyed the whole hour. Firstly, you're Indian, correct? You're both Indian. Am I right? You're both Indian.
Yep.
So why on earth are you wearing a Sri Lankan top and a New Zealand hat? Me, who's Australian, at least if you can't see it, but I'm actually wearing Indian things here. Look, see Australian, and I'm wearing Indian. See? What is this?
Actually, obviously we have a lot of our Indian supporters. Now we would like to need some overseas supporters for our YouTube channel and our platform.
You're just showing off that you've been to Sri Lanka, to New Zealand.
Oh no, come on.
Deal. Jesus.
Come on.
All right. Well, I needed to get that off my chest.
I don't think they can see the name of Sri Lanka over here. You can see because you have been there.
I've got 50 of those tops. I've got 50.
You can see because you have been there.
Many, I paid off all their debts by eating there. What are you talking about? All right. Back to, now, having got that off, sometimes I'll have an explosion of thought. There's my explosion. Now, let's go back to, I have always said from the moment this whole discussion started about IPL, Delhi Capitals, DC were in my thoughts. And it's just warming. That was pre Punt being captain. That was when Shreyas Iyer was captain. I don't want to discount Shreyas Iyer's importance, but my God, having Punt as the captain, oh my God, he is going to be an inspirational leader. He's a future Indian captain, let's be honest as well. And I think the making of this man will come not only through the Test series in Australia, the recent England series where he batted well. He wins matches. He's a match winner. That's where you're talking about the bowling line. That when a Rishabh Pant comes in and takes hold of a game, he'll turn it in the favour of Delhi Capitals. You watch. Okay.
So we can consider the hunger point is their strength in this SWOT analysis.
No doubt. The only weakness is they've lost Shreyas Iyer. That's a weakness, but I think that's overcome by Punt's use as a captaincy. The only threat will come down to injury. Otherwise, they're a certainty in the top two.
I think the biggest threat for them is, the threat, obviously you have rightly pointed out, injury, because their team, the reason behind Delhi did well last year, the major reason, obviously, the Nokia and Rabada partnership. Now, we know Rabada is a world-class performer, and he has recently doing, yeah, absolutely. So now it is up to them to continue that, and it's within a 6 months gap. We can. I think it will be a bit too tough for the pair to continue the good work which they did in UAE. So I think that is one threat, but obviously that's why probably they have retained Chris Wokes. So I think they should. That will be the one aspect which other teams would like to target while playing against Delhi.
Absolutely. Okay, so I would argue from today's discussion that the four teams we've mentioned, a top 5 material, no doubt. Mumbai Indians is probably the one that's going to come into play. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But I think Delhi's 1 or 2 on that list now. 3 is Sunrisers Hyderabad. 4 is RCB, and 5 is KKR. Correct?
And you are not counting Chennai Super Kings?
Look, it's such a difficult. I mean, look, if we had Janaka here, he'd be telling me Chennai Super Kings, being the local man there. Janaka from the Hindu, of course, would tell me that. They're not playing there, are they? Many of their games, there's no home ground advantage. That's a key factor that's going to go against CSK. I really think that will be a factor. Even the crowd aspect, we haven't even talked about the lack of crowds, and that will play on some of the players indeed. And the final effect of Ahmedabad as the ground for the final match. they're all inexperienced in an IPL capacity on that ground. That creates another X factor, the location of the final. It'll fall into the hands of Delhi Capitals more, I think. So I think that's another issue too. And let's, heaven forbid, that COVID gets any worse. That's my only concern.
Absolutely.
We in Australia, of course, I'm going to be smug now. I can go anywhere. I can eat anywhere. I can do anything, or I can go dancing late at night. I can swim. Maybe not in my birthday suit. I will need to be wearing more than that. But the reality is that I can do anything here. Aren't I lucky? I'm going to be smug now. Australians are just very lucky in terms of the whole situation here. I can do anything. I mean, there's certain things I can't
lucky
do.
you.
It is very, very bad. It's worsening by each day. Obviously, today also we have the report of Mumbai Indians wicket-keeping consultant Kiran More. He has tested positive. A plumber, a Wankhede, two more groundsmen, and a plumber of Wankhede Stadium testing positive. We had instances of Akshar Patel testing positive, along with Nitish Rana of KKR.
Devdutt Padikkal.
Devdutt Padikkal of RCB. So situation in Mumbai and Maharashtra is very, very bad. And I'm not talking about the other states. Obviously, situation is very, very concerning, deeply concerning.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to talk about that today, but why are they not moving towards using one venue? Not unlike the
not possible, Norman.
Road
Safety
World Cup played all their matches on the one ground.
Yeah, Raipur. And what happened? What happened? What was this after effect? You have 3 players testing positive, the likes of the Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar, Irfan Yusuf Pathan, and S. Badrinath, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you never know.
All right. So what's the solution then? What are they going to do? They're going to have to cut out Mumbai potentially as a location.
I don't think the time is too short now to change the venue.
Okay.
There will be logistical issues and a hell lot of issues. They just can't shift the venue from one center to another.
Okay.
Look, this was this was the reason which was discussed in the IPL Governing Council meeting, because India they initially decided to host the entire tournament in one city, that is Mumbai, in 3-4 grounds. But this particular issue was raised: if there is a COVID outbreak in the city and situation get worse, then we might see we might have to, then we don't have any other venue to go shift. But at this point, that's why they have distributed the matches among 6 venues. So I guess BCCI has done really well in this case to
there's no doubt about that. They've done a great job.
Yeah, they have done a brilliant job, and I know it will be a logistical nightmare, because unlike last year, this time during the tournaments, players will be traveling. There will be air travel for the players, unlike last year during the tournament. But I think they are using charter planes, and logistically they are trying to be as separative as possible. So I guess overall BCCI wonderful. So far BCCI have done an excellent job. And I think I know it will be a logistical nightmare, but these guys are very much capable of handling it.
On that note, guys, we have literally reached an hour's broadcast, which is magnificent. It feels like 5 minutes. It's turning midnight here in Australia. Now at midnight, I turn into a pumpkin. So just letting you know, if I change my appearance, it's only because at midnight I turn into a pumpkin. Okay, it's just something about me. I don't know. So we must. I think we need to thank each other for a great effort tonight. Despite the fact that you're representing Sri Lanka and New Zealand, not India, I think it's been a wonderful night. I think we've got great facts out here. We've really, I think, understand where these top 5 teams are. We've talked about 4 tonight. It's going to be a great tournament. What a great start for our live coverage. I'm going to look forward to having Debasis and Sandy on almost every episode. They'll get used to me. I'm going to banter my bottom off. Literally, we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, and don't forget, I have my crystal ball here, which goes as a chocolate shake as well.
I have my I have my own crystal ball. Just before we end, I have my own crystal ball, and this time I cannot see Delhi to the playoffs.
Ah, impressive. Sandy from the cricket club in Colombo, who says he lives in Kolkata. My foot. Okay, now, so this has been fantastic, guys. I want to make sure that all our viewers, which I've been watching, the numbers have been very strong for a first episode. We're going to make sure you view, like, and share our posts. Subscribe away. Tell people about this. We have a lot of fun. We've got some amazing guests going to come into the future. We can't divulge all, but they're going to be powerhouses from India, England, Australia, obviously from India itself, as well as more, even more. Some fans. Who knows what we're going to have? We're going to have quite a bit on the show. I'm looking forward to it. The appearances of us three together will be great. I'll work on their looks, guys. I mean, I've obviously got everything worked out already. I've got the makeup on, but we'll get this right. Don't worry. So, what are you doing, Debasis? Are you touching your makeup? What are we doing? Okay. No. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a great time. I really enjoy this. Look forward to the next series. Every episode we're going to do will be at the same time each day, both pre and post match. Tomorrow will be the other 4 teams, as we mentioned, at the same time. So lock in your set scheduled, your so-called subscribe and alarm buttons to actually notify you of the next time. It'll be the same time every day, pre-show, and ultimately post-show. We'll have a specific time every day. Okay? All right. Let's talk to each other again, guys.
It was a pleasure, both Debasis and Norman.
Thank you very much.
I would like to thank you both, Norman. You have been outstanding, and Sandipan, you too. It has been a pleasure having you both. We have stopped doing live broadcasts. As you know, that Extra Time channel. We decided that we need to do this live broadcast during this IPL. So I must thank you both for taking your time out and being on our show. And we will look forward to more interaction throughout this entire season of IPL.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you.
All the best.
Thank you.